We have this second bonus question to question 12. The f of x equals x plus 3 over x to the power of 3 plus ax squared minus 5x minus b. In the function above, a and b are integers, that they are not fractions or decimals. What is the value of b if two values for which the function is undefined are x equals -1 and x equals 2? You might think this question is very hard and might want to skip it, but it's actually not hard. One technical word here is the word undefined, and that would help us solve the question. In cases where you have two unknowns, this looks like we have three unknowns, but the focus is on A and B, two unknowns. Questions of this sort likely end up being a simultaneous equation. You should note that. So this question is a question that contains functions, undefined value, and a simultaneous equation. We have two values that can make this function undefined. And we know undefined means making the denominator 0. So we have x to the power of 3 plus ax squared minus 5x minus b equals 0. For us to equate this to 0, that means we have to switch x with -1. And that will help us create the first equation and also switch x with -2 to create the second equation. And with those two equations, we can solve for b. We could also solve for a. Take this note. There might even be a case where you have a question that carries functions, undefined value, and division of polynomials. Let's take x as -1 to create the first equation. We have -1 to the power of 3 plus a into open bracket -1 square minus 5 in open bracket -1, x is -1, minus b equals 0. -1 to the power of 3 is -1 times -1 times -1. Negative times negative will give you positive. The result, which is positive, times this negative will give you negative. Then 1 times 1 is 1. The result, which is 1 times this 1, will give you 1. So we have 1. So -1 to the power of 3 will give you -1. Plus a, we have -1 to the power of 2. That's -1 times -1. Negative times negative will give you positive. You don't need to write it. 1 times 1 will give you 1. So the result of -1 to the power of 2 is 1. So we have this as 1. We close our bracket. Then we have -5 times -1. This 5 owns this negative. A number or a value owns the positive or the negative sign in front of it. So take this 5 to own the negative. This is a technicality in this question. And students likely make mistake with this. So you have to be very careful in this case. So you have -5 times -1. Negative times negative will give you positive. 5 times 1 will give you 5. So we have this as positive 5 minus b equals 0. We further simplify. We have -1 plus a times 1. Any value times 1 is still that same value. So a times 1 is a plus 5 minus b equals 0. We can collect like terms. Let's start with a minus b. This a has a positive, this b has a negative. Then we have -1 and positive 5. Let's take the positive 5 first. Positive 5 minus 1 equals 0. A minus b plus 5 minus 1, or 5 minus 1 will give you 4. That's positive 4 equals 0. We'll take the positive 4 over the equals to sign, turns to -4. Standard in math, it says subtract 4 from both sides. So we have a minus b equals -4. That's the first equation. On the side, we create the second equation, taking x as 2. We go back to this and take x as 2. Let's do it by the side. Let's rule a line to divide them. We take x to the power of 3 plus ax squared minus 5x minus b equals 0. We take x as 2. That means you have 2 cubed, or 2 to the power of 3 plus a into bracket 2 squared, the x is squared, minus 5 into open bracket 2 close bracket. That's 5 times 2 minus b equals 0. 2 cubed, or 2 to the power of 3, is 2 times 2 times 2. That will give you 8. 2 times 2 is 4. 4 times 2 is 8. So we have 8 plus a times 2 to the power of 2. That's 2 times 2. That's 4. Then you have negative 5 times positive 2. Negative 5 times positive 2. Negative times positive will give you negative. 5 times 2 will give you 10. So this is negative 10. You know, this 2 has a positive. When you don't have a positive or a negative sign in front of a number, when it's empty, it's definitely positive. Then you have minus b equals 0. We further simplify. 8 plus a times 4 is 4a. That's just algebra. Minus 10 minus b equals 0. We collect like terms. 4a, this 4a has a positive. And since it's starting, you can ignore writing the positive. Then you have minus b minus 10. This 10 owns this negative. This 8 has a positive. Plus 8 equals 0. 4a minus b, since we're adding like terms and these are constants, negative 10 means you're owing 10, positive 8 means you have 8. So if you're owing 10 and you have 8, if you are paying the 8 you have to cover what you owe, you still be owing 2 because you're owing more than you have. So you have this as negative 2 equals 0. We take out the constant, which is negative 2. You have 4a minus b equals, standard in math, you say add 2 to both sides. But the effect is still the same as saying negative 2 crosses the equals to sign and turns to positive 2. So we have second equation as 4a minus b equals 2. This is equation 1 and this is equation 2. We now have a simultaneous equation, which in American curriculum is referred to as system of equations. You know, we've been asked to find b, and we can solve for b by making a subject of formula in equation 1 and substitute it into equation 2. That's using substitution method. You can also use elimination method, whichever you're comfortable with. We might use both in this case. So we'll take equation 1, we have a minus b equals minus 4. A equals minus 4 plus b. You take out the negative b, it turns to positive b. So you have a equals minus 4 plus b. You know, the b owns the positive, the 4 owns the negative. You can write as a equals b minus 4. You can say plus b minus 4. Same thing. We can call this equation 3. We substitute the value for a in equation 3 into equation 2. So we take our equation 2, 4a minus b equals 2. You know, a is b minus 4. So we have 4 into open brackets. The value of a in equation 3 is b minus 4. You have to be very careful here. Put it in brackets. You know, the 4 affects the a. So the 4 will affect what a represents. Then you have minus b equals 2. You know, the 4 is linked to this value by a bracket. So the 4 affects both the b and the negative 4. So we have 4 times b, that will give you 4b. Then you have 4 or plus 4 times negative 4. That will give you negative 16. Positive times negative will give you negative. 4 times 4 will give you 16. Then we have negative b equals 2. We collect like terms. We have 4b minus b equals 2. We take the negative 16 over the equals to sign. It turns to positive 16. Standard in math, you say add 16 to both sides. We have this. 4b minus 1b is just algebra. 4 minus 1 will give you 3, then you add a b to it. 3b equals 2 plus 16, that will give you 18. You know, we're looking for b. We divide both sides by the coefficient of b, which is 3. We divide by 3 and by 3. You know, the 3 is linked to the b by times. So the way of getting it off is by dividing both sides by 3. You have 3 divide 3, or you can say 3 cancels 3, you'll be left with b equals 18 divided by 3 would give you 6. B is 6. You know, we can also find a if we're asked. Finding a is easy. You can take equation 3, that says A equals B minus 4. And since B is 6, you change B to 6. So you have 6 minus 4, that will give you 2. A is 2. But you've been asked to find B, and B is 6. So you come to the options and pick C, that's 6. Hope you understand. In summary, solving this question is not hard. It's just about knowing what to do. And knowing what to do is about finding the keyword or the keywords. It could be a key statement, it could be a key symbol, or a key algebraic expression. But here, the keyword is the word undefined. And for a value to be undefined, it has to do with the denominator being 0. And note, we're given two values for which this expression is undefined, which are x is -1 and x is 2. And with this, we equated the denominator to 0, inserting each of the values separately into the value of the denominator, thereby getting two separate equations with two unknowns. That is a system of equations, also called simultaneous equations. And since we're asked to find b, we use substitution method to solve for b, and we got b to be 6.